Got to keep moving the program. We've got our we've got Mr. John Kennedy on hold.
Oh, awesome.
So
awesome.
Let's welcome to the program. We've had a lot of fun tonight, but this is a pretty serious topic. Welcome back to the program. You joined us a few weeks ago when the inaugural shows of the NDRL were opening up at Paducah and at Peevely. But Mr. Kennedy, welcome back to In the Dirt.
Thanks for having me back on. It's good to talk to you guys.
Not a problem, sir. And we're just going to cut right to the chase. You guys have started your guys' series, and you kind of held true. I mean, not kind of held true, but held true to your word that this was going to be a series that made it fair for everybody. Pick up, and everybody knows the story. That Owens tires come back. Pick up the story from trying to talk to UMP and finish it to where you released the press release last week.
Well, I think my press release was clear, and I appreciate you asking about it. But I tried on a number of occasions to just get something. Just give us something. What's the plan from UMP's perspective? And I think even Sam in some of his quotes, indicated that I called him a number of times and we were on the phone, and he kept telling me he had to discuss it further with Mr. Deary, and eventually I just, that was pretty unsatisfactory. So I wanted all of our fans to know exactly where we stood as relates to the rules. And it's not personal towards anybody. It's just, this is where we stand. This is how we're going to enforce the rules. Quite honestly, if UMP wanted to control the message and put out there what their plan was, they should have done that weeks ago. So that was kind of the emphasis of it all, is just to get our message out there where we stand with the rules, where we'll continue to stand with the rules with judicious and fair and uniform enforcement of them, and that's it. I don't care to carry on a long-term spat with the folks at UMP or World Racing Group. They have their job to do. I've got mine to do. So as far as I'm concerned, it's over at this point.
Of course.
What I
Brian,
do believe is...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just real quick, what I do believe is it was a missed opportunity, and everybody saw my press release, a month or two ago, a month and a half ago maybe, where we put out there, I think it was back in May, that we stiffened all of our penalties, and we plan to enforce those penalties. And also if there's a legitimate penalty levied by any other major touring series or even regional series that does lab tests, and the lab tests come back conclusive, as they had in this case, we plan to uphold any suspensions that are levied against a driver. And I think that's when we cut this out, is if a driver gets caught with me, well, hell, they can go race with World of Outlaws or Summer Nationals or Lucas, or race wherever they want to, and still not really suffer that much of a penalty. So if we all start working together, we can get these guys to knock it off and make it fair for everybody that wants to race, the regional and local guys also.
And I don't know if we're on the same page or not, but it's not anything out of the norm, not something that anybody doesn't know. These are series that regularly, I mean, the drivers are coming out and saying, hey, look, the series aren't doing anything about it. It's about time, and I applaud you for standing up, because you're not just doing it for your series, you're doing it for all of us competitors as well. And I hope that everybody does see it that way and they choose to support your series, because just knowing that, hey, somebody actually, it's like you guys actually do care about the rules, and we need that. That's what creates, this battlefield that we come to compete on.
Sure. And I'm on the same page with you. I have two guys that race at a very high level, kind of competitively, and they race for a living. And I expect them to follow the rules. They've both been tagged here and there in a minor way for the rules, and I've had conversations with both Tim and Shane that you get caught with bad tires, you won't race another race for me. We just can't afford to have that type of behavior happening in our sport. It's time that somebody steps up and does the right thing on it, and does it in a fair and uniform manner. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
So,
do you
so
know?
Also, along with that, what you were telling us is that if somebody gets busted in UMP or the World Outlaws or even Lucas Oil, you're upholding that penalty. Whatever their suspension is, don't think about coming to the NDRL because you're not coming. That's
correct. I mean, the financial aspect of it, if it's whatever the fine amount is or whatnot, that's the series business decision. But as far as a suspension, I have no problem upholding a suspension. And of course it has to be, I think everybody's kind of getting away from leaning on the sniffers too much because they've been, some of the results have been questionable, I guess, is the way to put it. So, it's not that expensive to do the lab testing, unless you get a bad tire, then it costs quite a bit more than just getting a scan of the tires done. So it's not that big of a deal to randomly check tires. I mean, we just did a regional show at the track that I run up in Pennsylvania, a $7,500 win late model show. We tested fast qualifier, top three, and some heat tires too, and that's just being diligent about the sport, and I think it'll be better off for everybody, track owners, promoters, series. It'll be better for the racers in the long run. I can't tell you, since this thing happened back in April, how many phone calls I've received from other series directors, some track owners, and from drivers and fans, between text and phone calls and emails. Just all of them want this to be solved, and everybody wants to be able to race on a level playing field. So it's been some very positive support.
We had Matt Miller on. We had a recorded interview on, but Matt mentioned when he went to Eldora this weekend. Matt Miller obviously is the regional guy there. He's won the Dream in 05, but he's not one of your top 25 guys in the country, so to speak. Although sure. I did vote him into my top 25. Anyway, I asked him going into this race, did it concern you? Because a lot of guys say, well, I feel like I'm getting beat by it. I need to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I was unaware, but evidently Eldora has a rule that if you get busted there, I mean, it's a long penalty. You can't come back for however many years or something. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly. I don't know what it is verbatim, but how much of that part of it, being a car owner, went into the way you enforce your rules for the NDRL? Being a car owner and your guys going out and racing, and did you ever stop and say, dang it, am I going up against this everywhere I go? What would we be doing if it wasn't there? I mean, is that all part of it, especially from a car owner?
Well, it's certainly part of it. We know that there's been instances where we've been beaten by the stuff, and even up until 6 months ago, you could at least assume that you'd been beaten by it, but after all this stuff bubbled up and the things that went on with our race there at Peevely, the drivers that were calling, and I'm not going to call out a bunch of names because that's not my business to do that, but just drivers that are frustrated and want to do something about it, and calling out various individuals. It was really kind of shocking to me that it's, behind the scenes, the drivers all know this stuff's going on, but they don't stand together to try to get it solved. So it's been really interesting.
And that's been the way it has been for years, is that it's been hard to get the drivers to come together on something. It's sure. Like if one person has an idea or an opinion, if maybe it's not, it's like things are frowned upon, but it's not good to stick with your guy that you're racing with every week. I've never understood that mentality. That's just something that I think that's a social thing that I think has to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some good things happening. I know, I was informed that Eldora would be doing their own tire testing for the Dream weekend, and so I thought that was kind of interesting, and they're trying to take the bull by the horns and do the right thing there. So I think that's pretty good stuff. So, I think little by little, if we all remain diligent and don't bury the story and kind of hope things go away, and get everybody to be active about this, I think we can get it taken care of.
Well, it kind of hurts the whole situation because, blatantly, a lot of people feel that Jimmy Owens shouldn't have been at Eldora this weekend.
Yeah,
but he was there. So that kind of
it's okay, John. You don't have to say anything.
That's kind of putting it underneath that's kind of sweeping it under the rug, if you ask me. Here, we'll get through Eldora, and then nobody will say anything about it afterwards. It'll just be over. They'll realize that it doesn't matter. But it does matter.
Jason Fager's a friend of the program, been on it several times with us. And, John, we're going to save you from having to say anything. But, he got busted by the same organization, basically. And it's not about organizations at this point. It's just about right and wrong, and let's do this thing. But Fager should have been allowed at the Dream.
But Webb, he has a suspension, and they upheld that suspension, and that creates a double standard.
That's right.
Okay?
That's where we're at.
And I'm sure, John, that you've already had this discussion. But where does the NDRL go from here? Does this fire you guys up even more to want to try to make this thing even more successful? Do we have any news there?
Yeah, it absolutely does. So we're working pretty actively on what we think we can try to do next year, and we're planning on running some races again next year. We have 3 races left yet this year, and just to go back, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Jimmy Owens. I think he's a hell of a racer on any type of equipment. So I want to make that clear. I do. The folks at the World Racing Group said that they stood behind our penalty, and the fact of the matter is that I appreciate that they came out and said that, not only just verbally, but it's also in print. But Mr. Owens hasn't paid us his fine yet, and as our rules read, he's suspended from racing with NDRL until the fines are paid, and that's the one thing that World Racing Group kind of hid behind as well. We didn't suspend him, and that's really not true. He can't race with us until he pays his fine, and quite honestly, I'd like to see him compete again. I hope he pays his fine and races our last few events at the end of the season. He puts on a great show, and we can get this all behind us, and that's what it's all about is let's get the thing solved. Let's do the right thing, get it behind us, and go put on some kick-ass race shows, and that's the plan.
And I think over the course of the last 6 or 8 months, and the names are what they are. We're not breaking news here when we say Bloomquist, Madden, Owens, Fager, but Bloomquist just proved, because obviously he didn't have anything on his tires at Eldora, because who's going to cheat at Eldora? If you can't race there, then what's the point? But obviously Bloomquist proved to us that it could be done without the crap. That's what I don't understand is why. If I said have a purple dot above your back right tire, and nobody did it but one guy, and he won, would everybody have that purple dot above their back right tire on their car the next week? That's what's so crazy.
Most
I don't think
likely.
they don't need the crap. And we don't have a problem here at In the Dirt with any of those guys. But if you keep tripping on you're know what, we're going to keep kind of making fun of you. It just
right. Yeah.
It's a part of the deal.
Scott put on a hell of a show Saturday. The racing was competitive all weekend long. There were certain times that the track conditions lent themselves to better racing than others, and once it slowed down, it was really fun to watch some of the good guys hit the setup just right, come to the front, and 2 and 3 wide sometimes, and it was an entertaining show. So I agree with you 100%. We don't need this stuff. We just got to make sure that nobody's using it. That's the problem that the racers get into, is they feel like, well, hell, if the other guy's doing it, I got to do it. Just keep up with them. And if we all stick together and say, you get caught doing it over there, you're not going to come here and race, then that'll knock it off a lot quicker than just me having a penalty and the other guys having a penalty. We got to stick together on enforcement of it.
I think that's awesome. Brian, anything else closing for Mr. Kennedy?
No, I just want to say, Mr. Kennedy, you're my new hero. I'm glad somebody finally stood up to him.
Well, I appreciate that, Brian. And in closing, I just hope that we can work together with all of the series and UMP and World Racing Group together on clamping down on these penalties. UMP's been around an awful long time. They have a tremendous amount of tradition, and they have some great shows too. And I hope they have good luck with it. But I just hope we can all kind of put our heads together and figure this out and get it solved. So.
Well, it seems like you guys are on the right path with the NDRL, and I hope this thing grows and grows and grows. And anything that I can do to support your series, please let me know.
Well, I just appreciate having me on, and as we go throughout the season here, I want the fans to remember we're going to have a really good show a Labor Day weekend up at Roaring Knob. If you haven't been to that racetrack, it's a great facility and beautiful place to come in camp and watch the races, and then we're going to wrap up our season in October at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. We're taking over the sanctioning of the Pittsburgher, and we'll have 2 nights of racing there, 10,000 to win show the first night and 25,000 to win show the next night. So it should be a great weekend there too.
All right, John, we really thank you for taking time out of your Monday evening to talk with us here on In the Dirt. Before we let you get out of here, you guys got a home here anytime you need it, but thank some of the sponsors of the NDRL.
NDRL has had a lot of great people come on board. We have Hoosier Tire. We have American Racer Tires. We have Capital Race Cars. We have Bell Helmets, Bug Band, this official band, Bug Repellent. The NDRL, we have VP Racing Fuels. They've been incredible partners of ours. And the list goes on. I do invite people to check out our website, thenDRL.com. That's THENDRL.com, and also our Facebook pages. And I hope they support our many good sponsors. So.
Well, we thank you. We really thank you. Thank you for being so candid about the situation. And we will keep in touch and see how In the Dirt can help the NDRL.
Thanks a bunch. Appreciate it, guys.
Not a problem. John Kennedy.